Last night, went to see Malte Marten in central London at St James's Church. I turned up early because I don't get out very much. And I thought, I'll just go and suss out the venue, see where it is, what it's like, all that sort of stuff. And I turn up to the church and I am following my sat nav on my phone, on my iPhone, I think. It must have been like iPhone, like Apple Maps or something. And I sort of go around this road and go around the corner. And there's a door there and it says, St James's Church, live events today. And I walk up to it and it just says, live today, eulogy at 6 p.m. I'm like, this is just a church. It doesn't like there's anything going on here at all. Is this a fake? Is this a fake concert? I honestly thought that when I turned up. I was like, have I just been told a lie here? Or have I got the wrong St James's Church? I mean, there must be, I don't know how many churches there are in London. There must be hundreds of churches in London. But I thought, right, maybe I've gone to the wrong church. So I just double checked on my concert tickets at St James's Church, Piccadilly. I put in the postcode again, and it's exactly where I am. I'm not going to mention any names of the people I was with, because I haven't asked their permission, but I was waiting for quite a well-known handpan player from the UK. And I thought I'd sort of check out where we could meet for a drink before the show started. So I was looking for different places, but I was starting to be convinced that I'd gone to the wrong place and it wasn't in the right place, which was weird. Little did I know until much later on, when the show started, that I'd literally just gone round what they say in America. I'd gone round the block. So the other side of the church was the entrance, the main entrance. And when I went there later on, there was lots of people there and lots of people that started queuing quite early. But when I first turned up there really early, I thought this is the wrong place. Went for a few beers in a local pub. Central London pubs, by the way. They are amazing because they've been there for such a long time, right? The pub we went to in the evening after the show had been a public house, or a pub as we call it in the UK, since, what did it say, 1781 or something, which is crazy. Like literally like all the old fashioned wood and the glass and all that sort of stuff. It's great. And for people who live in and work in London, that means nothing, right? But to me, being a 50-year-old guy or whatever that doesn't go into London very often, I thought it was great. It's so classic English pub. So that was a great part of the night. I paid for like a premium ticket. Right, there was like, as in any concert, right, you can pay for different tiers of tickets, but this was a church. So I was quite surprised about you could get like different levels of ticket. And I picked like premium, what did it say on the ticket? Is it still on my phone or has it gone now? Let's see if it's still on my phone. It says premium center. The person I was with didn't like the idea of queuing, and the queuing started when I got round the right side of the right side of the church after we'd been for a beer in this lovely old pub. The queuing started really early. They were selling cacao and other sort of snacks and stuff outside, flapjacks and brownies and a couple of savoury homemade sort of sausage rolls and things like that. So so there's this big long queue. And we decided to just sit down, have this, I could drink this cacao and chill out for a little while, have a little, just chill out, waiting for the queue to go down. And then my guest, or my date, if you like, that's just an in joke, saw somebody that she recognised. So we joined them in the queue. We didn't jump the queue. They were right near the end anyway. So we started to join the queue. And we got in, had my ticket scanned off my phone there, because these, I didn't actually have physical tickets. It was all on my phone. And got in the church. And it's, as you would imagine the church to be. It had like pews on each side of the church. and all the pews were full because we hadn't queued up. Every single seat was basically full. And so we walked to the front of where we thought we were going to sit, and and we were looking around, and there was nowhere to sit. There's one here or one there, but by that time there was about 4 of us in the group, and there was another group of women as well who were in the same situation as us. There was about 3 of them, I think, 3 of them in the end, and we were all sort of standing around, classic sort of like, I don't know, privileged people not getting what they want. I mean, some of them were moaning. I wasn't really moaning. I was just trying to be quite friendly, but sort of standing around and waiting for sort of like to be seated, if you like. And there, right at the front, there was a row of normal chairs that they added that weren't the pews, but it said reserved on them. And we got told that these were reserved for the family and Malte Marten's entourage, if you like, or his friends or people involved in his team, because Malte has a team around him, and we'll get onto that maybe later. But so we weren't allowed to sit there, and we stood there, and the event organisers came up, and they were like, "Oh, I'm really sorry, there's no seats, so maybe you could sit over there." And we were like, we were a bit annoyed or whatever. I wasn't annoyed that much, but there was nowhere. I mean, they were going to start to go through. They were going to start to ask people if they were sitting in the right seat, and it felt a bit awkward. And it was getting towards near the time of the show to start. And and the person I was with just decided they were just going to sit down in the reserved row, because obviously the organisers had not done a good job of like sorting the seating out, and so we thought we'd sit down on the front row in the reserve seats. So that's what we did. And because the guys who were putting the show on couldn't really say anything else to us, they didn't try and move us. We just basically took the reserve signs off and sat on the seat right at the front. And they came up with a good, sensible option. They decided to add another row in front of us to add the seating for Malte's family and friends, which is what they did. So that front row didn't exist when we got there. So we sat down, and only one part of Malte's family sat in front of us, and he wasn't sitting in front of, she or he or whoever wasn't sitting in front of me. So I had the front row seat to the concert. I must have been about, I don't know, 10 feet away. Maybe I can share a screenshot. I didn't really do any videoing. I think personally it's a little bit rude to sit there with your phone out, but that's the age I am. I watched a video of one of my sons. He went to a concert. One of my son, Jack, went to a concert, one of his favorite rappers, and all the 16, 17, 18-year-olds have all got their phones out, all just like literally holding their phones up, recording everything that was going on. But I wasn't happy about doing that. So I'm just gonna put on the screen I'm gonna try and share my screen and put on what I shared earlier, so you can get the idea of what I was looking at, and I'll just put it on repeat, I guess. Let's see if I can do this. I don't know if you can hear that, by the way, because I've got my speakers turned off. Maybe I should just put this on. I'll turn that off. Sorry if I just muted it, but I can't hear it. And if it's like a bit noisy. So that was my seat. That's the percussionist that was on stage. Which I should have remembered who he was. I can't remember his name, but he was really, really, really good. There was a guitarist to the to the left-hand side of Malte there. But here's my view at the front of this church. Malte there has 4 Ayasa handpans in front of him. And yeah, that was my view. So yeah. But it wasn't just him on the stage, which was nice, which is what I wanted to talk about. Maybe I will unmute it. Let me know in the comments if you can hear this audio, please, if you don't mind. I don't know if you can hear it because I turn my speakers off so I don't get any feedback. You can hear it. Okay. I'll play it a few times so you can hear it. You don't want to hear me talking over the top of it. The sound recording was brilliant. Like really mixed really well. I'm not geeky enough to know what the scales were. Oh, perfectly. You don't want to see that. Oh, there you go, right? I just wanted to really show you what it looked like. Like you wanted to see a picture. I didn't take, yeah, there was loads of bass for sure. The sound was really, really good. And he was, you could see there, it was quite sort of biblical. It was quite religious because he's sitting there on this stage, like at the end of this really giant church in central London. Well, it wasn't that big. It wasn't a giant church. That's a bit of an exaggeration. But, you know, he's sitting there as like a deity in this church with these two guys sitting next to him. There's the percussionist there. He was sitting on a cajon, which they managed to get like really, really good sound out of. Like this, he was just literally sitting on a cajon. Is it still muted? I can't remember. No, it's not muted. Sorry. I'm talking over it. I'm going to mute it. Oh, it is muted. It is muted. Yeah, I'm going to pause it and pause it on the percussionist here. Yeah. These guys have been. I'm sorry I didn't really do my research before I started the stream. But these guys have been, well, this guy reached out to Malte, I think, after lockdown and just basically said to him, you know, I think we could really do a great job working together. He is apparently a really quite special percussionist. He had all different types of cymbals there. He had all different, he had a cowbell. He had like, I don't know, like loads of lovely little bells and lovely little sort of drums and cymbals and just like not too heavy, but things that worked really well that would go with the handpan. And he was, like I said, he was sitting on a cajon, and the bass tones that the tour sound engineer managed to get out of the cajon was really, really, really impressive. I was really impressed with it. And I didn't get any footage of the guy that was on the left-hand side. The other thing, Hene's asking how many people was the church full? Yeah, the church was full. There was a lot of people there, Hene. Being on the front row, I couldn't really tell you how many people were there, but it was full. It was full, and the church was full. And there was obviously like a rafters as well around the top. And there was a lot of people up along the top as well. So, yeah, it was full. Anyway, so we've talked about the percussionist, but there was also a guitar player. And this is quite an interesting part of the show. Because he obviously did a little bit of talking about each musician that was on the stage with him. And the guitar player, I feel really bad that I don't know who they are. I should maybe try and search for them, shouldn't I? Just stick with me. Just bear with me by now, because he talked about why he does the frequencies on top of his videos, which has been so like contentious for a few people in the handpan world. They're like, oh, this additional frequencies and stuff. And the man responsible for doing that was on the stage with him. Okay, so I've got the names of the musicians that he was on stage with here. Conrad Molina, who was the percussionist, a remarkable percussionist known for his work with Estes Tonne, enriches the soundscape with his masterful rhythms and soulful vocals. So yeah, the percussionist, the percussion player was singing as well, like doing sort of toning and using his voice. And the ensemble is completed by Bummela, Bummela, a gifted multi-instrumentalist and producer whose sonic artistry adds depth and dimension to the music. So he is Malte Marten's music producer, by the way, basically called Bummela, Bummela. And the reason I'm talking about him is he was playing guitar. He was playing like a flamenco sort of Spanish guitar sort of vibe. But the guitar was sort of plugged into obviously some sort of mixing desk that had like now I'm really not very technical, so sorry everybody who knows about this stuff, but it was like acting like a MIDI trigger or an audio device that was triggering a MIDI device, because what would happen was he would play on his guitar and the sort of reverb of the guitar would add then a layer of like synth sort of lovely pads that would float away as if they were like smoke, but an audio sort of smoke. So he would play a couple of like notes on the guitar, then you would hear the reverb, and then it would like drift into like a synth line, and that synth line would be like a lovely frequency, like a pad or a drone sound. So you'd not just have the guitar, not just have the percussion, not just have Malte and the percussionist doing the vocal, but you also had this guy who's like the music producer, like live on stage with this like mini mixing desk of himself, producing guitar string plucking, also playing, but also generating this additional layer of sound. And Malte told the audience that this is the guy responsible for adding the additional frequencies on the videos that he's been producing, like this 111 hertz frequencies that is layered onto top of most of his videos. I mean, let's try and find another one. So as you can see on the screen here, right, these are the videos I'm talking about, these frequencies here. So he adds these frequencies to his videos, and it's quite contentious to some people. Look at the album over here, they've all got this frequency over the top, and a lot of people are like, this is just cheesy. Why is he doing that? The handpans aren't tuned to that frequency, etc., etc. But it was nice to hear an explanation about it, right? Once and for all. And the idea being is, according to Malte and other people, this frequency is like a healing frequency, but it's not the standard frequency of like a standard tone of that tuning or whatever. It's a musically produced frequency that is layered on top of each video, but they also layered it on the live show as well. So they didn't just have a tone running in the background, even though I heard it straight away, but the people that were sitting next to me didn't hear it. I've really got quite good hearing. I think my eyes are starting to go, but my hearing's still quite good. Anyway, and so yeah, they were having this really slight tone. Might be able to hear it if you listen to any of his videos on with a decent pair of speakers. You might hear this tone, and it's not always there. It sort of fades in and fades out a little bit, right? But I just thought it was really interesting that he decided to have the music producer on stage with him that's provided this additional layer to his videos that are on YouTube, and then also incorporate it into the live show. I thought that was pretty cool, and a really lovely layer to not just like, this is just not a clickbait. I'm not creating these videos because it's like clickbait and everybody else that's not really into the handpan music wants to click on it. He truly believes that it has a healing frequency that adds to the emotion and the depth of his music. And so it was lovely, which is a terrible description of the music, isn't it? Lovely. But if I was going to describe the music, he said halfway through, or was it towards the end, that every song was freestyle, which when you hear them play it, you're like, I was sitting next to this really well-known handpan player, And I turned to them, I said, are these songs composed? How can you compose a song this long and know what you're doing? And he said halfway through, this is all improvisation. Uh, this is pure improvisation. Everything that we're doing is coming from our soul and for our love of music and just being together and understanding what the sounds could be and should be. Malte obviously leading, giving like visual cues to the other two. So, say for example, at the beginning of the show, he just sat. He sat with his one of his handpans. Did he have a handpan? No, he didn't even have a handpan on his lap. He sat and literally took in the environment of the church he was in and didn't say anything. Didn't say hello. Just sat with his eyes closed, sat cross-legged on his chair, and the other two literally just watching him. And after about a minute, you could hear him breathing a little bit, like some deep breaths, or maybe creating the ambience as well, or the you know the environment that he wants to play in. Right, picks up a handpan, starts to play in his style, in his unique, beautiful sort of flowing style, flowing over the handpan as he does. And and then there was clear visual prompts when he would look at like one or the other guys to say, right, okay, this is where I'd like you to come in. But at the time when he was doing it, before he explained it, I just thought, oh, this is a rehearsal, just in case they don't remember, they can come in, because I know musicians do that anyway. They do the whole, it's quite a well-known, little nod or whatever. I'm not a professional musician. I've never performed on stage, but you see people doing it, you pick it up. But yeah, apparently every song that they performed was pure freestyle. And there was about, I don't know, 6 to 8 maybe. And they were literally like 10 or 15 minutes long. But that was a bit mind-blowing to see and to experience that. So we had quite a lovely, beautiful environment to watch him in, to experience his very unique sound, to listen to the beautiful, beautiful handpans that he plays. I can't tell you the scales that he had. I know he had a D Aegean Aggie, which would be a D Aegean 20 note. And it was the only handpan that he actually talked about that said that it was his most favourite instrument. Of all the 4 that he had in front of him, he said this instrument here, literally held it up. He said, this is a very, very important instrument to me. He talked about how vulnerable he is, and he talked about how sensitive he is. And he talked about how he had struggled with the idea of being on stage and performing in front of people, in front of real live audience since the COVID-19 2019, 2020 lockdown that the world experienced. And he openly opened up about that and said, I lost my mojo. I lost my confidence in performing in front of people. And that is why over the last 3 or 4 years, we have seen this influx, or this not influx, influx is the right word, influx of Malte Marten videos on YouTube. He's gone full on YouTube online performer, if you like, doing all of these amazing videos online in these different locations, performing with people like Chantra Seba, Change of Colours, Konstantin Rosler, and all the other sort of musicians. He plays with guitarists online. I've seen him play with loads of other types of musicians actually, but the Chantra Seba stuff is great. And it was because he'd lost his mojo a little bit. And these 2 guys that were on stage with him, basically, as he described, giving them confidence back to go back on stage and start to perform live to people. It's taken him quite a long time to get that confidence back. And the 2 guys on the stage with him were obviously quite important to him. So we get to I was talking about this. So we get to the standing ovation. He says, I'm quite a sensitive guy or whatever. I can't remember what he said, but I'm probably just going to leave the stage and not do a big big thank you very much or a bow or anything. And so normally when there's a standing ovation, the band get up, right, and they walk off the stage, and then people carry on clapping, and then the band come back out. Well, they just stayed there, and they they had a little chat. Malte took his little in-ear headphones out, if you like, and had a little chat left and right to the percussionist or whatever. Decided they were going to do one more, and everyone was like, "Yay, one more, woo woo!" And he said, "This is the last song. I want everybody here to go away with a really positive, pure heart. I want everybody to take away the feeling and the atmosphere we've generated in this environment and this concert tonight. I want you to react however you wish to react to the next song. If you want to stand up and move around, you could do so. If you want to sing and make a sound, you could do so. If you want to sit and meditate and close your eyes, you could do so. But whatever you want to do, I want you to really listen with intention and take it on board, and then take that away with you, take that feeling away with you." And then he made the point of saying that he wishes that everybody in the world could experience the feeling of being able to express themselves in this free way that those three have managed to do. He said he was a very new single parent, and his life up until that moment, being on stage, has been quite stressful. But that release of emotion and the way that he could just freestyle and create this music in an environment like that with people who are obviously enjoying it, he said it's the best feeling in the world, and he wanted people in the audience to take that away with them, that everybody should strive for being able to create that in their own way. So I love that, because I do love freestyling on my handpan and just allowing the music to come out and not really focusing on being very strict and very regimented. I think it's a really good message, and it was great to hear Malte say that. It's not for everybody. Everybody shouldn't be the same. I understand that. Everybody plays an instrument for different reasons. Everybody is sitting here getting into it and getting different enjoyment out of it. But it resonated with me, and I liked the message that, allow music to do its job of allowing you to express yourself in the freest possible way you could. And if you want to express yourself in this last song while you're sitting here, then please do so. So the last song in the concert, he says all these things. He says this lovely thing, and it was really lovely to hear that. And just as he finishes saying it, a lady 2 seats down from me shouts out, "Marry me!" like that. I don't think he heard her, but she literally shouts out, "Marry me!" And we were like sitting there, we were like looking sideways, like probably a bit funny, like laugh a little bit, right? Bit funny. Anyway, the song starts. Now, weirdly, if you believe this or not, I'm quite a self-conscious person, believe it or not. I have never performed on a stage. I've never sang in front of people. I've never performed in front of people. I do videos like this. I don't class this as performing. I'm sitting in a room on my own, talking into a camera, right? I don't see any of you out here. There's not a room full of people here. I'm talking into a little screen, right? So I'm a little bit, I don't express myself very well vocally or physically. I don't think that's the reason why I freestyle so much on the handpan, right? Maybe that's why. Anyway, I decided to sit with my eyes shut and literally with my head back, my hands out a little bit, not like this. We'll come to that. I don't know why I'm laughing. I shouldn't laugh. It's a funny story at the time. So she shouts out, "Marry me," and he allowed everybody to do what they wanted. But anyway, this same woman puts her hands up in this sort of gesture. So I'm not looking around at her, but I can see her hands in this sort of like very religious sort of gesture as the song is going on. And towards the end of the song, she is sobbing her heart out. She is literally sobbing, Chippy, like not crying or tears in your eyes. This woman was sobbing as if she was at some sort of wake or at a funeral. She was sobbing, like really bawling, like with her hands up in the air. So maybe I was just jealous of the way that she was able to allow her emotions out. But this woman was clearly affected by the moment and by Malte and the music and the sound and the creation of the situation that had been created. But it was a little bit full on to take on board, if you like. So it's a story, right? It's something that I will forget. I'm trying not to judge her because I don't have a judgment on her. I guess it was just for me who struggles to show my emotions. It was a bit of a shock to sort of like to deal with, right? So yeah, and then we went. That was it. That was the end of the show. So I think all in all, it was about 8 songs, maybe of about, like I said, 10 or 15 minutes long. It was really worth it. It was really, really worth it. It was like another example of the handpan world going up to a different level. Music is there to create emotion from within us. That's why we all love it, I think. It's for different reasons for different people, but I think there's nothing wrong with being emotionally affected by music, for sure. I don't think it's a thing that you should be embarrassed about. I think it should be something that should be embraced. Anyway, yeah, I think we're going to wrap it up. The Malte concert in London last night. It was truly an amazing experience. I really, really, really enjoyed it. I couldn't believe the seat that I got, literally at the front with nobody in front of me. I couldn't get any closer to him to experience it. I had a great night out. I was hanging out with handpan players from the UK. And if you know he's coming to your country, get tickets because it's definitely worth it. And if you can't go to a Malte Marten concert, then try and go to a handpan festival. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you doing it. Please give me a like and share the channel. Love to be able to sort of increase the subs a little bit more. So if you know any handpan players that like this sort of stuff, then yeah, please do let them know. I appreciate it. Thank you all so much. Take care of yourselves. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. All right. See you later.